I'm out. I'm out of words. Sydney, we're Benji Riddles. We just watched that game together. I don't know what else to say about a basketball team that has become something greater than a basketball team. My dad, shout out to my dad down in Florida, texted me at the final buzzer. He said, "You got any superlatives left?" I just texted him back, "Nope." I'm really struggling right now, Benji, because I don't. We watch sports for entertainment. They're a distraction. Life is hard. You know, you're a parent of small children. You have a full-time job in addition to all of this, as do I. Life is hard. Sports are just supposed to be something to take our mind off of what it is that we do the rest of the day when the rest of the day gets hard. And they give us a sense of community and they give us a sense of belonging. Sports are not supposed to make you believe in, like, you know, otherworldly powers and magic, and like I'm just really, I don't know what else to say about this team other than that they are the most important and most special team that I have ever watched, and I've been watching sports for over 30 years. Take it away, Benji, please. Because I've finally gotten to that point. I have finally gotten to that point. I all I ever wanted was a chance to be the guy in the seat and to describe these moments. And what has this team done to me? They have put me in a position where I can't summon up the proper terminology. It should not be. All I keep coming back to is the same thing. It should not be possible. There's nothing about this that should be possible. It defies all logic and expectation and sense. It doesn't make any sense. And yet we keep watching it happen. And it is happening.
I want to echo a lot of that, and I'll describe it maybe in a bit of a different way. Sometimes I'm brought on here as a quote unquote X's and O's guy, and I started this one. We watched it together on a watch along, and I'm trying to describe coverages and different ways to play it. You know, in the first few possessions, you can kind of see the way teams are adjusting and how the adjustments are going. Like, that's normal playoff series stuff. That's like physical basketball that you can articulate and describe, that I pride myself on articulating and describing. And somewhere middle of the second quarter, once Jalen Brunson leaves the game, it morphed from that describable basketball game into what I only can really describe as a spiritual basketball game, where I couldn't really describe what I was seeing, nor could I articulate any strategy or X's and O's. It became a spiritual game that went beyond anything I could say about it. It was a spiritual performance. It defied any basketball logic. That's the term I've been using with this team. It defied basketball logic. And I think maybe the most powerful thing you can say about it is to admit that you can't really articulate what that was. Is to have the humility to say, like, sometimes, yeah, sports is that escape, and sports is the community and the sense of belonging. Sometimes sports is spiritual. And that's the real beauty of it, I think, is sometimes you get to a place where it is beyond comprehension and it's beyond articulation. So I'll sit here with you and try my best to articulate it, but with kind of that additional point of, that's spiritual, man. That's beyond what I could describe.
Well, in that case, I'm happy I'm on here with you because you're the most spiritual person I know. Yeah, look, we'll talk about dedication, man. Nobody loves this team more than you, but you are a spiritual person, and you honor that spirituality in ways that I know are difficult for you at times. And so it is only fitting that that team that you love so much gave you some of that spirituality back tonight, in a way that you're like they didn't need to do. Like that's the thing that we keep coming back to, right? Like I feel like I'm not going to try to get way off the beaten path here, but like I don't know, man. As anyone who knows my love for Tom Thibodeau, really where it originates from, it's because I am someone who believes in life that in a world that is increasingly dependent on what excuse can I find for this or what new excuse can I find for that. It is a world of excuses, or it is a world of get out of jail free cards. And it has become a world where it's like, okay, how can I get the gotcha? You know, how can I get out of this without having to do the thing or whatever? That's not the fabric of New York. It's not the fabric of this coach, but this goes so far beyond coaching. Tom Thibodeau can't put himself in the body of Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo and Jalen Brunson and Isaiah Hartenstein and all of these guys and make them do what they did to bring home this win. They had to do that. And they had every valid excuse not to. We're not talking about fake excuses, which is more than enough of in the world. They had every valid excuse to do it and to just pack it in and say, listen, it's not our night. You know what? Probably ain't our year. Let's just get healthy into the offseason and let's go into, and let's do what we do next year. And they just don't take the bait. And I don't know, man. And I feel like we have to talk about where they go from here at some point before we get out of here. But like, I don't really want to do that. And yet I feel like we need to.
I mean, where sentences might fail, let's try with prose, a little poetry. I don't know.
Please.
This was, I think, the anniversary of the Willis Reed game. Date-wise, is that what they said? Did I miss that?
I'm gonna double check it right now
because I was watching the broadcast on like mute because Reggie Miller was on it.
What's the question?
Wasn't this the Willis Reed?
It's 50 years to the day of the Willis Reed game. I thought you guys would have. Yeah, absolutely.
You can't write this. I mean,
no, you can't.
The guy walks out at halftime to MVP chants. My buddy who was at the game sent me a video. Roaring MVP chants as he emerges from the tunnel to shoot some free throws and get warmed up for a second half. I don't know what's going on with him. Who knows what condition that foot is in after what he just did and played the entire second half.
Can I give played you the great quote that he said?
I'd love to hear it. He
was asked about his foot after the game. This courtesy of the great New York basketball Twitter account. I'm just happy I did. To be honest with you, we found a way. That's it. I'm being ready for game 3. I'm going to try to be. So he didn't elucidate much.
On the anniversary of Willis Reed's re-entrance, I mean, it's like there's I say spiritual. There's something going on, man. There's something going on. Like I think we'll get to a point where we break down the game.
Let's spit some facts. How about that?
Please.
You want to spit some facts?
Let's hear it.
Josh Hart has not sat. Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong. The last time Josh Hart sat was in the second quarter of game 6 against Philadelphia. Is that correct? I'm pretty sure that's
46 minutes again in Philadelphia, but that's after following a 53-minute performance against the Sixers in game 5.
So Josh Hart has averaged over 48 minutes a game for the last 4 games.
Yes.
So there's that. Josh Hart tonight played 48 minutes and almost had a triple-double, 19 points, 15 rebounds. Josh Hart had 15 rebounds. And he had 7 assists. We'll go there first. Dante DiVincenzo. Do you realize how many points do you think Dante DiVincenzo finished the game with?
24?
That'd be 28.
Jeez.
28 points. He was 6 of 12 from 3. By far the most threes I think he's put up in a game this postseason, unless I'm completely forgetting something. And boy, did they need... You felt in the second half that there was just a few things that were going to need to happen for this to happen. And Devo firing away with reckless abandon from 3 was one of those things.
Yeah, and I'll take that a step for when Jalen was out. And I know they ended up down 10 at the half, which at least was reasonable, even though I thought they played horrendously during that stretch, especially defensively. But Devo was just, he was in that mode like he played in Dallas when Brunson was out, where it was like, all right, well, no one else is out here, so I'm just gonna shoot pull-up threes and hope a couple go in, and they did. And at least kept them somewhat attached. And then they went on that bonkers run to start the third quarter. So yeah, we needed every ounce of that Devo offense to stay where we were and then to pull away in the second half.
Next, I'm going to go to Isaiah Hartenstein. 39 minutes, the most he has played. It may be the most he's played. No, he played probably more pre-Achilles. It's definitely the most he's played since the Achilles. But he still had 2 Achilles?
There were some minutes that caused the Achilles, and then since then they've protected the Achilles, and now we're back to not protecting it anymore.
No, he's going to lose the other one. He's not going to have any left. He's going to be 0 for 2 pretty soon. Again, as they were saying on the broadcast that I got peeved at, 14 points, 12 rebounds, including 4 in the offensive glass, 8 assists, a team high 8 assists, nearly matched. TJ McConnell had 12 assists tonight. My Lord, we could.
And Hartenstein with unbelievable hustle plays down the stretch, including diving on the floor for an offensive rebound that got off Halliburton to maintain possession, and an unbelievable defensive rotation to a Miles Turner 3, forced him into a step back. The defense in the fourth quarter was unbelievable.
They had to have enough of those possessions to win this game because they couldn't just do it on all. I know they scored 130 points. They needed to have enough of those possessions, and you felt like over the second half, how many truly high quality defensive possessions that they finished off with a rebound were there? Were there like a dozen? More than that? Am I underselling it?
No, that's what it felt like. Yeah. I mean,
right. But that's what they needed. They needed that many,
Yeah.
Maybe got lucky a couple of times, but
and it counteracted the second quarter where again, it didn't seem like they had any plan. There wasn't even a possibility of not giving up a wide open shot for about, 12 straight possessions to end that quarter. They were absolutely destroyed. And it was like, can they find any defensive traction? And they did. Third quarter.
Next, we're going to go to OG Anunoby, who I don't want to start. I feel like I've been holding back tears already, and I don't want to start talking about him because I'm going to cry tears for a different reason. He gave it everything. He was everything for this team for the first half, for most of the first half. They probably do not. Here's an interesting one. If OG Anunoby doesn't have the half that he had, and this isn't a 10-point game at the half, but this is like an 18-point game at the half, do they send JB back in? Now, knowing this team and knowing this coach and knowing that player, forget the coach, forget the team, knowing the player, just knowing the player, they'd be down 30 and Brunson's going to want to come back in. But I wonder if there wouldn't have been some jockeying as far as what the decision would have been there. OG Anunoby with the half of his life and finished in 28 minutes at 28 points, including 4 of 7 from downtown. And really, towards the end there in the second half, made some defensive plays, which is like, look, it's the defensive plays that OG Anunoby makes. And now I'm just sitting here and I'm like, so many thoughts going through my head about him moving forward. I want to get to those let's get to those in a bit. Just focus on tonight. OG Anunoby, your thoughts.
The Knicks have one offensive creator traditionally right now, and that guy got hurt, missed about a lot of the game. And OG, we've seen it. I mean, he's shown it now to us throughout, really, since he came along. Like he has a way of manufacturing enough buckets. It's not going to look pretty. It's going to be some kind of power awkward drives and some mid-range step backs. And I thought he was rightfully trigger happy from three tonight, like just kind of letting it fly in a way that I haven't really seen. Just manufacturing points that they desperately needed. And he was having a tremendous offensive game. And it's like, there are certain injuries that you don't never know why it happens. Like hamstring injuries are like very classically and traditionally due to just like fatigue. Like your muscle just doesn't have it anymore. And like he barely sat, and he was moving more on offense than he's certainly used to moving. Just tremendous effort and will, and without him, they don't win this game. So It's super unfortunate that he couldn't finish it. We're praying that he has more to give in the series. I'd take that.
I'll go a step further. Look, they have to win 2 more games. Indiana has to win 4. We have to win 2. I have to get it. I want to save the Brunson. Let's stay on here. Let's stay here for a second, then we'll go get the Brunson. If OG Anunoby doesn't play again in the series, can they win the series?
Yeah.
Okay. I think so.
Not easily, but yeah.
Okay. If you told me he was going to be ready for, again, you guys know me who are watching. I never do this, but like in a theoretical next round, if the Knicks are able to win 2 more games, theoretical, we're not there yet. If you told me he was going to be ready for game 1 of the next round, I would sign for that right now. With the caveat that, like, in signing for that, I am also signing for the possibility that we may not make it to the next round, because if we don't have him back, maybe it decreases your chances of being able to win in this round. I understand that. I'm just saying, for me right now, like, I would, if you were like, you're not going to see OG Anunoby until game 1 of the next round, but you will see him for game 1 of the next round, but you won't see him before that, and you're going to take whatever comes with that. Maybe you get out of this, maybe you don't. I would sign for it. That's me right now, not knowing what we don't know. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Hamstrings can be weeks. Like it depends on the grade, and I don't know if we've heard. I don't know if there's been any. I doubt there's been any reporting.
Nothing.
Yeah, and I would guess that he'll be questionable, as you said on the watch along. Whether they amputate the leg or whether he's totally fine, he will be questionable going into game 3.
He could be in a coffin right now, and he will be listed as questionable for the next game, Benji.
Yeah, so these guys are giving it everything. They're dropping one by one, but we're still standing and still winning games somehow.
We could be sitting Shiva for OG Anunoby, and Tibbs will be out there saying it's all medical, guys. I have no update. Sorry, that's a question. Did I lose you there? I think I lost Benji.
No, I'm here. I'm ready.
Sorry.
Whew. I have some bourbon.
Cheers. Again, it's like, what else are you supposed to do? Okay. We hope OG's back. I agree they could win the series if he does not come back. You know what? We're going to get all the other stuff out of the way before we get to Brunson, and then I'm going to take solace on you because you have a job. The bench. By the way, some numbers. The guy who we haven't talked about yet, who is an actual literal superhero, plus 26 in a game they won by 9. Isaiah Hartenstein, this is not a misnomer, plus 21 in a game they won by 9 in 39 minutes. So that means for the 9 minutes that Isaiah Hartenstein sat, they were outscored by 12 points. That doesn't feel like an accident. Deuce Pride, 20 minutes. He was a minus 22 in those. Now, look, that's a big number, and I don't know, is that fair to Deuce to tag him with the minus 22 in 20 minutes? Precious, 28 minutes, minus 14. Now, Precious did redeem himself late, and I think let's go there next. Watching them late with Precious at the 4, you were reminded of the month. Really, it was a month where that's the lineup we had, and they made it work. They made do, right? Like there were times where it was untenable. I'm thinking of the first Sixers game of the back-to-back. I'm thinking of the Laker game that we watched together. I think there's one other game where it was real. Oh, the Warriors game where they couldn't score for 8 minutes or whatever it was. There were times where it was untenable. Against this team with this defense, right? You see where I'm going here. So talk to me about Precious.
Yeah, and I want to tag in our brilliant colleague DJ, who talked about, and he hadn't checked the numbers yet, but I have a strong suspicion he's correct that Precious's offensive rebounding prowess really shines when he's at the 4. Yep. And he can crash from the corners and crash from the wing, as opposed to when he's matched up with a center and has to just outmuscle him, which he's not a big center. And man, he came up with a couple of massive ones, just hungry for the ball. And yeah, the enabler of everything we're talking about, the great enabler was the Pacers defense, which frankly, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the plan is. I don't
know what the plan is.
If Aaron Nesmith helps off of Dante DiVincenzo one more time, I want to get to the Pacers in a second, but what was I talking about? Precious. And a couple key stops on Siakam late, which we've seen. Like we saw that in the regular season. So redeemed himself late, and they just needed him. They needed him to be better. It was really a struggle throughout that game on both ends. Like he was okay on offense. He just doesn't provide all that much. Offensively, you expect him to really shine, and I thought he was exposed at times. Not attentive at times. So that has to change, because he's going to be relied upon. Whether OG comes back or not, he's going to be relied upon.
Can I make a prediction?
Sure.
I'm setting the over-under at Precious Achiuwa minutes for game 3. I'm assuming OG Anunoby's not playing game 3. I'm setting the over-under at Precious Achiuwa minutes for like 40 and a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
You think you're going to get Sims for... You're going to get Sims. You're going to get Sims for some time in game 5, but... Again,
I think either... right. It's probably Sims and you play Achiuwa at the 4. What you could do is do the Burks thing, but that somehow finds a way in 30 seconds to blow a rotation and miss a mid-range jumper that he shouldn't have taken.
Played 1 minute in the game, Benji. Yeah. Played 1 minute in the game, and Tibbs was like, "We're good."
Weird choices there. Also, I don't know what exactly that was. Such chaos in that second quarter. I'm not really sure how to process it or why the rotations were what they were. Regardless, Precious, they'll just need him to kind of zone in defensively, find his game, and offensively, just offensive rebound, make your passes, score on the roll, which he did once or twice. And that's all. That's it. And that's enough. And as you say, the Pacers aren't necessarily a team that can really expose your lack of spacing. Now they'll do more of it. Like once they have a chance to really game plan for it, I'm sure you'll see them clog off of Precious. So that's something to look out for in game 3. But you can still score on this team, because the matchups aren't good enough for the Pacers, and Brunson can just get wherever he wants to get on the floor.
So I have a sneaking suspicion. I obviously don't know anything, but just if you ask me personally to bet on it right now, even odds, does Jalen Brunson play in game 3? I will bet no. And I wonder, you do what would you bet? Let me ask you.
I'd bet yes.
You bet yes. Okay, so we disagree. If he didn't, this could be a complete waste of a few minutes, but let's just go with it for a second. If he didn't, would it not at least be an opportunity for Tibbs to, over the course of 48 minutes, to be like, all right, let me figure out what do I have in Shake Milton? Because I would think at that point that's the next guy to dust off and be like, all right, well, let's see what it is.
He's at least played in playoff games before. He's like an NBA. He's played in the NBA.
He's an NBA player. Right?
Maybe. I'm not sure he's an NBA player anymore, or maybe like he's a borderline NBA rotation player, and he has played in playoff games. So that is enough right now. Like throw him in there.
Just to and then, I keep thinking, okay, give Burks a chance to show what he could do. Burks at this point is like, he's almost like a wrestling heel. that is like coming in and his
A
whole
saboteur.
like, you know,
He's like Jonte Porter. What are you trying to say?
But it's like, but you couldn't have written that. Falling asleep on a closeout and then on the next possession. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. You mean I could walk into a contested 18-footer?
Just off the bench? Haven't touched the ball yet? Let's get right into it, baby.
The ball in a month. Let's go. But I want to at least kind of go through all of this because
Daquan Jeffries, is that crazy? Who are the actual available players? Who's on the roster?
Daquan Jeffries, Shake Milton, Jericho. Well, I would be shocked if we did. So I'm going to go through the minutes. I promise we're getting to the Brunson love, and then we're going to get Benji out of here. And then I need to remind myself of this person's first name, Mamadi
Diakite.
Diakite.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play.
I just said the name Mamadi Diakite on a Game 2 Eastern Conference semifinal post-game show.
This is where we are.
So here's the thing.
It's crazy.
I love Tibbs more than anyone. And if I was like a logical person, I would be like, well, wait a minute, hold on. Why are we not killing the coach? These guys are literally dropping like flies. And then I go back and I try to do what I always try to do, which is put myself in Tibbs' shoes. And I'm like, okay, what are my options? And I look at my options and I think about my options. And then I'm like, okay, so if I roll the dice roll is that essentially I'm going to play these guys when I'm going to play these guys, and I'm going to bet that they don't pull some sort of muscle or do whatever. Is that roll of the dice worth it? That's the question. It's like the notion that he's sitting there and be like, well, no, they'll be fine. No, I don't think that's it. I think this man has a stack of chips on the table, and he's like, I got this is my hand. Do I want to push it or do I not want to push it? And it's like, there's no right answer. Right? Tell me if I'm missing something, because I'm always pro Tibbs.
No, you're not. Look, I recommended playing Burks in game 1. I thought that was the right move. And I hesitate to judge. I hesitate to judge everything off of 1 minute, but we're not just judging it off of 1 minute. We're judging it off of 20, 30 games.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting point that you make. Like, if Brunson doesn't play, so OG Anunoby doesn't play all these guys and see, can anybody give me something? Daquan Jeffries isn't beyond giving you some decent minutes. He's a wing. He can guard a little bit. It sounds insane, but
it's not at this point.
Literally, now we're coming down to like, there are no bodies left.
This is where we are.
No bodies. This is where we are. So you need somebody just not to kill you for 3 minutes. And who's the best guy for that? It might not be Brooks because he's too volatile. It might be someone like Jeffries who maybe will just pull off like a Haywood Highsmith, just play good defense and go to the corners and maybe make a shot once in a while. It's not insane.
Stand in the corners. Worst case scenario, they play off you 15 feet. You throw the ball. You get the ball. Okay, what's the next? What do? I'm going to put the ball on the floor. I'm going to drive the rim. If they come and converge on me, I'm going to attempt to make a pass.
It's not crazy. He's an
NBA player.
He's an NBA player. He's shown,
and he can defend. And he can defend.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Maybe that's what game 3 is for. We'll see who's available. It's just something just tells me.
I know
they're just gonna need some minutes here. It is insane, and maybe it's just like the Nova boys are indestructible and they'll carry us to the Eastern Conference Finals, playing 48 minutes a game. It just seems totally insane. And I'm not blaming the coach because he's gotten us here, and the hand is what it is. Does this bring out some of his tendencies that are troublesome and you worry a little bit about where it's going to go? Yeah, I think that's also a fair assessment where it's okay, buddy, at some point it will run out of steam. I think when the Garden's not behind you and you're in Indiana and they're not raining you with MVP chance at halftime when you're on 1 foot and the adrenaline's not at 300 gazillion %, you just need someone to give you 4 freaking minutes. One guy we didn't get to is Deuce, and Deuce needs to provide more than what he's providing so that he can play longer and give you more. That's essential.
He's been through now 1.5 playoff rounds. This is the most disappointing game from a single player, I think, that we've had.
Ooh.
I mean, Brunson was pretty rough on the first 2 games. Let's call it like it is.
DiVincenzo had a couple clunkers.
DiVincenzo had a couple clunkers, absolutely.
That you might be right. And it's he's the guy that's given you more than you ever could have expected this season and in the first round. And so it hurts. It hurts.
It was the Deuce McBride game.
It hurts to say it, but he was very bad in this game. TJ McConnell is absolutely demolishing him, which is a carryover from the last game they played in the regular season. He cannot stay with him. And that's a problem when you're a second unit guy and you're going to match minutes with TJ McConnell.
TJ McConnell plus 10 in a game his team lost by 9.
So can we shift? Can we shift to the Pacers for 1 second? Because I really want to ask you this question.
Yeah.
At what point, and is it now, does Rick Carlisle say, wait a minute, my starting lineup's getting absolutely demolished. Obi Toppin and TJ McConnell have been unconsciously good. Not to mention Shepherd, who's making shots, but okay, not necessarily the answer, but like Stan Van Gundy was saying it on the broadcast. I heard him 4 different times say, how is TJ McConnell not finishing that game? And then just what about Obi Toppin? I mean, Obi Toppin's been arguably your best player through 2 games in this series.
Well, Halliburton in the first half was
It's not for Halliburton. It's not for Halliburton. I think it'd be crazy to leave Halliburton on the bench. He's your franchise player. But Nembhard and Naismith seem to have earned like automatic finishing status. And Naismith just hasn't been very good on either end. Nembhard's a very good player. I don't know. I'm wondering if Carlisle at some point says, wait a minute, those 2 guys have been outstanding. I cannot take them out of the game.
So this is where I think organizational politics comes into play, because Miles Turner is your organizational fixture. He's been with the franchise for 9 years.
I didn't mention Isaiah Jackson, to your point. Yeah.
Isaiah Jackson's been awesome. So I think you're not gonna, I just don't know that there's a world where Miles Turner plays less than he's playing right now. He played 31 minutes tonight.
I'm really just saying it would be
you're talking
Toppin and McConnell for Nembhard and Naismith.
That might be it. And Shepherd, by the way, 3 or 4 from deep tonight. I don't know, man. How desperate are you to win this series if you're Rick Carlisle? I guess that's really what the question comes down to. Versus
that's a fair question. I mean, look, I think there are some diminishing returns with maybe both guys. I think certainly Obi, like one of the reasons he's so effective is because he can just run up and down for, those 8-minute spurts as opposed to.
He had 20 points tonight on 10 shots.
He was exceptional. Awesome. He was exceptional. And it's not just the shot making. He's doing everything, the cutting, the passing.
Switched on to JB for one key possession. JB got the shot off. It was
He'll have a couple defensive lapses a night. He will, but overall, he's been exceptional. You cannot say enough about what Obi Toppin's done for them. And now that's 2 straight games where your closing lineup failed to do the job. You have 2 guys playing out of their minds. It's just a question. I just wonder.
Failed spectacular. Tonight was, if you're a Pacer fan, I'll be very curious to see what Caitlin has to say about this. That was like a spectacular failure. Hold on. Rick Carlisle opened his press conference tonight addressing the 29 plays the Pacers thought were called incorrectly in game 1, but didn't submit to the league, and criticizing Josh Hart's shove of Tyrese Halliburton tonight. And he said, we deserve a fair shot.
Oh, wow. So that devolved quickly because I gave him a lot of credit for not throwing the refs under the bus in game 1. See, that's weak to me, though. Again, I get it. The refs, I think the refs had very little to do with what just happened out there.
I don't know how you're supposed to watch what the Knicks just did in the second half and then pin that game on.
The hard shove on Halliburton on that offensive rebound that got called. Is that the one he's talking about, or is there another shove that I'm not?
No, I remember it. We were watching that game pretty intently. I don't know,
because that was like, I thought it was a foul, but it wasn't anything egregious.
Whatever. Okay. So look, we'll see about the Pacers, what they do. With everything up in the air the way it is right now, I'd be shocked if the Pacers didn't win game 3. It's just a matter of kind of how game 3 goes. But then again, who the hell knows? I don't know. They're a young team. You don't know how they're going to respond to 2 straight losses in Madison Square Garden. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
It'll probably be a close game with 5 minutes to go.
You
Nothing
think?
matters.
Nothing matters. It doesn't. Whether Brunson and Anunoby play or not. Okay, anything else you want to say about anybody non-Jalen Brunson?
Let's talk about him.
All right, let's do the autograph player of the game, Andrew. Can we get that up there? We'll start our segments here. I just put Andrew on the spot. There we go. So our player of the game presented by Autograph. Don't forget, download the Autograph app, use code KFS, and get rewarded for your Knicks fandom. If you've been following the Knicks Film School Twitter account, if you're a newsletter subscriber, I've been putting some stuff in there too. Autograph been giving away awesome stuff. They gave away like a Deuce jersey. They gave away $24 tickets to the last round. They gave away a pretty good deal on some tickets to game 1 of this series. They're going to keep giving away more stuff. Keep following us, but most importantly, download that Autograph app and use that code KFS. Again, you'll be rewarded for your fandom. You could read my newsletter and you'll get credit for it as opposed to just reading the newsletter. You could listen to this podcast and get credit for it. All stuff you do anyway. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to attempt to do this. It's 54 years since Willis Reed. In that time, this organization has had, I know it's been a lot of dreary years, but they've had a lot of special players. Obviously Willis and Clyde and DeBusschere and the whole championship core. And then did have a former MVP on the team. I love how Bob McAdoo gets completely forgotten about because the team stunk. But, to Bernard King, to Patrick Ewing, to Sprewell and Houston, and when they kind of spearheaded the team, and you had your dalliance there with Stephon Marbury, who's been supporting the team in the Garden, and obviously Carmelo Anthony and Kristaps Porzingis and Julius Randle. There's been a lot of great players in the history of this franchise. I know it's been a lot of lean years. There's a lot of great players because at the end of the day, someone is usually going to want to come here and play and try to be the guy in New York. I have always lived in New York. I've never lived anywhere else, even if I'm not necessarily a Jet or a Giant or a Met or a Yankee fan or a Ranger fan or Islander fan or a Dove fan. I always kind of pay attention to what's going on. I don't know. I'm not saying he's the best. I'm saying he's the best athlete in like the last however many years in New York sports. There's no one who has come in to a team and done and written a legend in what is effectively 20 months, right? Because he came here, his first game he played for the Knicks was in October, and now we're in May. So if my math is correct, it's about 20 months. What is this, if not a fairy tale? If not Cinderella wearing high tops? I don't know. I don't know because it shouldn't be real. It shouldn't be possible. The chapters just keep getting written. It seems like through these playoffs, there's forget an additional paragraph each night. It seems like there's a whole new chapter getting written each night. And now we're starting to get on, well, this thing isn't just a book. This is an anthology. This is volumes here. This is insane. This is utterly insane. This is insane if you're considering it in the history of New York sports. This is insane if you're considering it in NBA history. You do not get superstars who of this caliber and who are writing this sort of story he was in the league, Benji, for years. And his team that drafted him looked at him and said, we don't want to compromise our ability to trade you. So we're not going to give you a middling contract. Like, what is happening? This is the part that's like, because he's just one man. I don't know.
You know what his numbers were in the second half?
I know he had 24 points.
9 for 16, 24 points, 2 for 5 from 3, 4 for 6 from the line. Well, I don't know how hurt he was, but presumably very, because he he didn't come back in the game in the first half. And I really am speechless about him. It's just a sheer force of will. He's made of iron, man. Mentally, physically, like the poetry of this obviously happening, like a guy coming back from injury on the Willis Reed anniversary night, but like a guy who embodies everything that Willis Reed was about. Like, this guy is the captain. This guy is, it's so obvious the way everyone else on the team looks at him. Even his teammates. And Josh Hart is an older, like Josh Hart welcomed him to Villanova as a freshman.
Yeah.
Like, but you can just see it's more than respect, it's admiration. It's
reverence.
The reverence, the way they talk about him, the way they look at him. He has commanded that kind of respect from his teammates and then from the fan base, obviously, but he's earned everything and he keeps earning it more and more. It's really quite remarkable. It's a story kind of unlike anything I can remember. This kind of rise, and then just obviously the way he looks, and he's playing basketball. He's 5'11", can't really jump, and he's been as good as anyone in this playoffs. He's a superhero. I just hope he's healthy enough to keep writing the chapters. You know, like that's my. I just hope this doesn't derail it, because it's an amazing story. It's just an amazing story. And if it ends this season, God forbid, it'll continue, because that's who he is. But I just hope that this season the story continues, because it's like a irresistible story. It's just so easy to root for. It's so fun to enjoy.
The only comparison I could make, and I'm obviously not the first person to make this comparison, but it's like, what if Linsanity didn't last 3 weeks, but lasted like 2 years or 2 seasons? And
the 40 point streak ends, unfortunately.
Well, that's what happens when you only play however many you play in the first half.
Yeah.
It's we're going to talk about him a lot tonight, so I'm going to let people have their platform, and I'll echo and amplify all the things that other people are going to say. Never watched an athlete like this. It is like I'll say it. It's Jordan-esque. It's Jordan-esque because Michael Jordan was inevitable, right? You're a little after Jordan, right? I know, but I could tell you because I was there. The closest thing to Jordan was Tiger Woods, and Tiger Woods was inevitable, and Jordan was inevitable, and that's really it. And there was a sense about Jalen Brunson that he is inevitable, except like, if you built a perfect golfer, you would build Tiger Woods. If you built a perfect basketball player, you would build Michael Jordan. If you would build a perfect basketball player, you would not build Jalen Brunson.
No, you would not.
Maybe if you're building a perfect rugby player, you would build Jalen Brunson. Not if you're building a perfect basketball player. And it's like, I have a thing that I wrote, and I'll put it in the newsletter tomorrow, about comparisons to another 6'0" point guard who took his team to the finals 23 years ago.
That's the one.
That's it.
That's the one.
But here's the thing. There's a difference. That dude was the first pick in the draft.
I know. I was having this exact conversation with myself today. Literally,
like,
thinking about this.
Iverson was, Iverson was inevitable in a different way. You knew with that skill and that speed and that touch and that's all of the things, like, he was going to be a Hall of Famer before he got drafted, as long as he cared to do so. This is different.
It's a fact. I hope to dive into it more, probably when this is all over. maybe between series if we get there. But the comparisons are apt and interesting, and two warriors, undersized warriors, where you built around them this just defensive-minded, tough team to kind of insulate him from his own limitations. But that whole team also understood how to kind of open him up and find cracks and creases in defenses. And the coaches there's just a lot of connections and similarities between the two runs. For those who don't know, we're talking about Allen Iverson.
Pretty good basketball player.
There's a lot there to unpack, but for another day.
It's another quote, courtesy Ian Begley, the great Ian Begley. I'm all good, Jalen Brunson says when asked about right foot soreness. And that's it. Brunson said he didn't get any imaging on his foot when he was out of the game. You know what, Ben?
Oh.
I think you're going to be proven right.
No imaging. Fascinating decision. What was he doing back there?
Maybe he was constipated.
No imaging. Oh. All right. I don't want to think about this. Hopefully. I don't want any Woj bombs tomorrow.
He won't, like, it's just, I can't. It's insanity. It is utter abject. Has any, like, here's let's end here and then I'm going to let you go. You know what we've wanted as Knicks fans for 20 plus years? More than a good team or even a competent team. We've wanted a team that cared as much as we did. We've wanted a team that would say, I'm sitting here at home in my, fucking house on my couch, and I would give a pinky toe to like get a playoff series or something. Like they're in one of those lean years where you're the laughing stock of the fucking league. Why do I care so much more than the players that I'm watching? And yet I'm so stupid and hopeless. I can't even quit this addiction. And yet they care so. It seems so apparent that they cared so much less than we did. And so what we really wanted was just somebody to come in there and just care as much as we did. And now we have someone who he's willing to do anything to try to get he's like his freaking coach. He's willing to do anything. He's willing to do anything, whether it makes good sense or not, apparently.
He's heroic, man. He's been a hero.
It is. That's the only word. I just nothing else to say.
Nope. I'm out.
This is the most incoherent preamble before we get to super chats, but I apologize. Really.
We're processing this along with everybody at home. It was a unique experience. It kind of just washed over me as I'm watching with you, and it's still in some way washing over me. It was crazy. I've never seen anything quite like that.
I'm just waiting to wake up. Oh boy. All right. I'm gonna get you out of here before we do the last two segments. Benji Ritholtz. Oh wait, no. Apparently not.
How about while you guys process all that, we just remind everybody that those doofuses in Indiana are not like us. I'm glad you had a front row seat for that, Reggie Miller. I'm glad that you got to witness in a building you were 7-27 in your career, and you said you dominated, that you got to witness another Pacer playoff loss. I would like to remind you, Reggie Miller, you made the finals once, and it's with an aging Patrick Ewing on his last leg. You were eliminated in the conference finals twice by the New York Knicks in that building. Okay? You were the higher seed in that second one. You lost to an 8th seed in which you scored 9 points. You scrub. You missed the game-winning shot in 94 to get to the finals, and then you committed a blatant, flagrant foul. We're not going to question it. We don't question referees here at Knicks Film School. Refs makes the call. We respect the opponent, and then we respect the referees, unless they're fouling Jalen Brunson. In that case, he's getting fouled. He's getting fouled. Get these bums up out of here. That was a very reverent and very respectful post game. Yes, we're all still processing. But you know what we can process as we just finalize the process in the last round? Let's get these bums from Indiana up out of here, okay? They not like us.
The cheeseburgers, as Benson calls them.
Losers.
That was so. I needed that.
That was maybe the best performance of the night, in a night full of great performances.
It really, truly.
Goodness.
That was 48 minutes right there.
I love you guys, and I enjoyed. I clipped it like so good. How much I loved the monologue you guys just gave that I clipped it and posted it on social. Like that's how
nice.
This was a spiritual experience. Okay. And you know who's going to need to find religion after this game? Rick Carlisle, because you know who really you should be like throwing the challenge flag at? You see that we can't stop TJ McConnell. What's wrong with you, Rick?
Stan Van Gundy must have said it 12 times down the stretch of that game. They should really reinsert TJ McConnell.
Stan wants to coach the Pacers. I'm convinced. Yeah. That's how much he was like politely saying, Rick, are you stupid? Like, that's really what he was saying the entire fourth quarter. Rick, are you stupid?
We had it mostly muted. How bad was Reggie? I heard a couple of things that annoyed me.
He was awful.
Was it as bad as it could have been?
Are we done with this now? He's not going to be back on the series.
He's not covering the series, John. He's not like on the broadcast. He's on. They flew him from OKC, I'm pretty sure, so he could just do this game.
And it was.
I'm glad you got a front. He kept bringing like, when Josh Hart had that, he put himself into it.
It's always when Josh Hart. I know it's always.
You know how Josh Hart had that lane violation where he threw the ball. He was like, that reminded me of Anthony Mason throwing the ball in bounds. I swear, Reggie. I swear. Loser. 7-27 in that building. He should get a loss for this. No, 7-28 now. In the words of Josh Hart, they were saying F you at the end. Shout out to John's cab driver. They were saying F you in case you didn't hear it. Just want to make sure you heard. They were chanting F you, Reggie Miller.
Was an F you Reggie chant going?
See, you guys were still processing. They were literally chanting F you, Reggie.
Oh, good.
Really?
Good.
F you, Reggie. And then Josh Hart, because they need to build a statue to that man.
Yes, they do.
Josh Hart. Oh my God.
Josh Hart.
Hold on. Josh Hart went over to Reggie on like the mic.
I know.
And said on national television, they're saying F you, by the way. Like, in case you
did the mic pick it up?
Yes. It's going viral. You guys have been on YouTube.
Oh my God.
It's going viral on Knicks Twitter at the moment.
I saw that he did that. I did not realize the mic picked it up.
No, this man has gone on the greatest publicity and image tour. Not like, I don't mean that like it's genuine.
Yeah,
it's genuine. It's
the man has become an absolute legend in this town, just out of sheer, obviously, play, but personality. He is unbelievable. A legend in this town. They can't trade him if they wanted to.
Yeah, that's if they wanted to.
Comp. Who has been the Josh Hart over the last, since I've been watching New York? I feel like there had to have been someone on the Yankees during. I'm trying
to think of a Yankee. That'll be the only.
That's what I'm trying to think of too.
Maybe like a Paul O'Neill-ish, like a big personality.
But like that level of player. Like Paul O'Neill was never like an all-star. Well, maybe he was an all-star. But
no, he wasn't. Maybe I don't remember if he was for a year. But like not a superstar, but like a really good player, but just a force of personality.
You know who he is?
He's not the force of personality Josh Hart was.
You know who he is? He's David Wells.
Interesting.
David Wells pitched a perfect game and started all-star games. Josh Hart was a liability at times on the court this year, but because literally he just tries harder than so many other of his peers, he becomes such an asset. Like, this would be like if I was a Yankee and then suddenly pitched like David Wells come playoff time. So people are throwing Nick Swisher in the chat. Benji can attest to this. Nick Swisher is not the playoff performer you want to go to.
I was thinking Nick Swisher because he's a great personality, but he wasn't
personality.
Yeah. You need the game too. You need the game.
I feel like O'Neal's the closest thing, but he was a bit drier than Josh Hart.
To go back to another Nick, Anthony Mason is probably the guy. But Anthony Mason, he had a personality, different sort of personality.
He wasn't eating Mike and Ike's.
No, he was not. He was. We'll just leave it at that.
I personally just the John Starks comps come to me too. Like, it's different games, obviously, but
yeah,
John Starks was the second best player and was probably just more meant
I
to
said
be
this
a
on the
third or fourth
playback.
best player.
Josh Hart is playing as well as any second star in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
The idea and it's different than he's not creating in the half court in the same way, but complete games, like he's been as good as any, like he has been the second guy. He's been that good. There's
a Draymond-esque quality to what's happening right now, you know, and like me and Andrew at some point, actually tomorrow, I think we'll record our Patreon episode. I think we're going to try to get at the definition of like, what is a role player? And like, when do you evolve out of being a role player? And like, what is the meaning of that? Because it doesn't feel like we're watching a role player right now.
That's it. It feels like he's evolved out of role player status in this playoff, because whatever creation Brunson's not doing is exclusively him in transition. It's like, that's their other way of creating advantages, is just Josh Hart pushing the pace. And he's done it expertly. I'm the idiot who was like, the Knicks at their best have him playing 20 to 25 minutes a game.
We all were, though.
But
then he turned into Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. Like
that was a smart thing to say. I mean, let's just hold on. Last thing before we let you go, Benji. So in this playoffs now, I'm pretty sure the stat is updated. Josh Hart for the Knicks is averaging. Oh, sorry, I'm not on playoffs. I got it right here. Hang on one sec. Josh Hart is obviously Brunson's still their leading scorer. Josh Hart is averaging 18 points, 12.8 rebounds, 5.3 assists, a steal, and a block. He's shooting 47% overall, 43.9%.
Come on, man. That's star numbers.
On 5 attempts a game, 70% from the line. You'd like that to be a little bit better. On 5 attempts.
Not Pascal Siakam numbers.
I mean, here are the 3 players who have more. Actually, hold on. Because, if we're going total rebounds, I don't think anybody in the playoffs has more total rebounds than him. In terms of rebounding average, the players who have more average rebounds per game than him, Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic, and Jared Allen.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. You know, it's just been a ridiculous run. And by the way, God, we didn't get a chance to talk about like specific plays, and then I really will get out of here. He made a 3, I think it was in the second quarter. Man, it's hard to recall now, but I'm pretty sure he made a 3 in the second quarter from the left corner.
The Josh Hart 3?
Yeah.
It was the fourth quarter.
I
it was in one of the most important moments of the game. They had
it was the fourth. He didn't make one in the second. He only made one
3 tonight. Made 1 3 tonight.
So I know. I just
very
remember
important fourth quarter 3.
Yes, I remember it being when the Pacers were on a little bit of a run, and it's just a classic. Like, I'm just going to make the most timely 3 possible right now when nobody expects me to shoot it, and I'm just going to make it because I'm Josh Hart.
Yep,
it's crazy.
Yeah, no, 18, 13, and 5 are over 8 playoff games. Those are star numbers.
That's star numbers.
Yeah.
Indiana had cut it down to 1, and he made a 3 to make it 4.
There you go.
7 minutes left.
I just remember thinking that is the most. I apologize for not. The quarters ran together on me, but I recall very specifically thinking that is the most Josh Hart 3 ever.
Because there was so much shit that happened after that, Benji. It was fairly early in the fourth. It made it 105-101. I have it right here, and it was followed by a Brunson, oh my god, 2, and then a Brunson, oh my god, 3. And then 18 other plays before the end of the game.
Right, because and that was huge because obviously the Knicks blew them out in third quarter, and then that freaking McConnell Toppin unit's in, and they roar back, and Josh Hart just makes a 3 to kind of create a little bit of separation. But he's been everything and more.
Benji, you gave us an hour tonight. I appreciate it. I needed it. I needed to get from the end of the game to now where I get to do the super chats.
This was fun, man.
I'm so happy I get to do this with you.
I love doing it with you too, man. We get some of the craziest games to digest together. It's an honor and a privilege. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great night.
Be well, brother.
Oh man. Bye, Benji. Would you like to do 2 other segments? What are you apologizing for?
I'm sorry that I couldn't be better at elucidating what this night was. And I mean that. I genuinely mean that. I pride myself on being able to find the words.
Why are you apologizing for struggling to find the words about something that was indescribable.
Because
you're human, John. And I thought you were brilliant too. I thought both of you captured how all of us are just shrugging, being like, how do they keep doing this? And they keep doing it anyway.
This
effing team is the most this descriptive way to like say what's going on in front of us at the moment, John.
It really does just make me think, like, it just makes me kind of step outside of sports and fandom. And it's like, again, I keep going back to these thoughts of like, life is hard every day. It's hard. It's not fair unless you were gifted, into a ginormous trust fund or something. Like, we all go out there, we all try to do what we got to try to do. And we try to, get these little pockets of enjoyment with our loved ones, with our children, with our spouse, with our friends and whatnot. And like, I'm just so thankful that we have this team. I'm just so thankful that we have them. And I'm thankful more as much as anything that we get to kind of be a community together and share it. And it's not lost on me that we all get to do this. And, as one, so thanks for everybody watching. Hopefully people didn't tune out.